high sports of northern Minnesota, the show you've waited for. This is Grizzlies Growls. And I am honored to present our host, the man, the mystery, the legend. This is Grizzly.
Hello there, and or welcome back, depending on what's appropriate. This is Grizz. I've been talking in the Second Life with a friend of mine there by the name of Lady J, and we had discussed doing a podcast. I had in the past of course, the We Should Talk podcast, which originally was about doing voiceovers and never really went anywhere. And my thought was that it'd be good to do a podcast. It'd be about Second Life, but not so much with the inside baseball stuff. Not talking about, the Linda Lab screwed this up and that, and who cares? If you're not in Second Life, you don't really. And the thing that's not happening enough is Linden Labs is not really doing very well as far as convincing people who aren't in the Second Life to come in. At least that's my general impression. So I thought that there should be a show that was specifically more focused on telling people things that might convince them to actually come to Second Life, because it is still here. And her view of We Should Talk, which we are now calling We Should Talk More, is that generally we should be talking more. We keep communicating in text, and it's just not working for us, and it keeps getting us in anger and fights, and because it is all text, and we really don't know, we know what people are saying, we don't really necessarily know what they mean, or how they meant it, or what they were trying to convey. We don't know who they are. We just know what they typed on the screen, and it's not very helpful. So that's her piece. And that's my piece. So we did, as I advised her would be wise, we did an episode 0, which is going to be here on Grizzlies Growls. And we might do a couple more on Grizzlies Growls until I finish getting things set up to actually do We Should Talk. We'll see how that goes. Anyway, here is episode 0 for We Should Talk More. Okay, so it was recording. You still there?
Yep.
Okay. It actually was recording. I just didn't. I haven't used this in so long. I used to do a regular music-based podcast called the IDSL, and I interviewed people from musicians, and a couple of them from Canada, in fact, and then interviewed a bunch of other people. So I used to do Skype for that, and use my Skype recording apps for that stuff too. So I used to know how that works. Anyway, we could pretend like we're doing a podcast and everything then too.
We could pretend like we're doing a podcast. That is the exercise for this afternoon, right? That's
just crazy talk, I know. But yeah. Anyway, so here we are. This is Grizzlies. What this is right now is Grizzlies Growls for 2020, September 11. And it's going to be about something called We Should Talk More podcast. If you're a listener, you may well recall the one time I tried to do a podcast called We Should Talk with a young lady, and it was a 2-parter, and we did the first part, and then by the time it was time to do the second part, she didn't want to anymore. So I didn't want to reuse that title, but we had some of the stuff still lying around from that, so I figured, what the heck. I got a little traffic noise in the background. It is still warm enough outside that I don't actually have to close the window, and it gets a little warm for me in here otherwise. But for clarity's sake, I should do that eventually. And for future recordings, because it's Minnesota, and it's September. For future recordings, by then it'll probably be closed. Anyway, let's see. Of course, I'm David Grizzly Smith. And you, what are we calling you?
Because you're calling me. This is Lady J. It's a long and arduous story, but that's the simple version. How about that?
Let's go with Lady J.
Lady J.
Lady J. Okay. And since we're probably going to be talking about Second Life, that makes perfect sense because that's your Second Life identity.
But I actually have friends in real life that call me that.
Okay.
That I am known by that. The other one is, this is going to be hard for listeners, but I'll give it a go, is word burn.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I actually have a friend that says, "Hey, Word." I'm going, who? Oh, yes, that.
Yeah. And, of course, the Lady J is also what you provide when you're under arrest and they're checking for your aliases because somebody already took tater salad. Sorry about that.
Absolutely.
So it's a shame, but, can't have two, otherwise they'd make a better alias then. Anyway, now here's the thing. My original concept for trying to reuse the whole We Should Talk thing was to try and do a podcast that would actually promote Second Life to people who are not already in it. There have been, and there probably still are, a few, but there have been a lot of podcasts for Second Life, and generally what they tend to be about is, tend to be about an hour and a half, but they tend to be kind of inside baseball. People going on at length, complaining about how terrible Linden Labs is, and this technical thing and that technical thing that just isn't done right. And all those things are true, But if you're not in the Second Life, you're not going to be convinced to get into Second Life by somebody telling you how terrible it is.
Absolutely not.
I wouldn't imagine so. So, I took my allergy pill, but
happens to the best of us.
Yeah. So, this will be an extremely high quality recording, of course. Me coughing and sneezing, and I think you mentioned taking allergy pills too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Make sure about that. I didn't sound like Darth Vader while we were talking.
So this will be the Snifflecast, basically.
That's a perfect name for this one, the Snifflecast.
The Snifflecast. And let's see. This is supposed to be episode 0 for We Should Talk More, or WSTM Radio.
Oh, nice. I like that.
The smooth sounds of WSTM.
That's perfect.
Anyway, the smooth and sniffly sounds of. But, basically it's supposed to be episode 0, so we're supposed to tell people what it was about. Now, that was my idea of what it'd be about. It'd be a thing it could be about.
Sure.
Did you have something else in particular in mind?
I think that people should just talk more.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Just a little bit. I think that talking more in fairly rational tones, rational being underscored, bolded, capital letters, several fonts, rationally, is a really important thing for all of us to do right now. And I was a rideshare driver for a long time. And I won't say it was a long time, but I had a heck of a lot of customers in that length of time. And we talked everything in little 20-minute rides, from politics to tuna into a casserole to books we had read to not talk at all. And what I learned was people are hungry for people to talk to that can have a conversation without it leading to, anarchy.
That's a legitimate point. I'm agreeing. That's a legitimate point.
We don't get opportunities in our days to do that, and we didn't before. It was all this lockdown mess because we were all so bloody busy.
Yeah.
And we just didn't have time to do it. And then we all got locked in our houses, and we don't have media to do it.
Yeah.
And so people have taken to a lot of text media. I don't know, pick your poison. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, there's Reddit, there's a bazillion of them. But there are very few platforms that give you an opportunity to gather in whatever digital format that you would like to be and actually have a one-on-one phone type or or community type conversation. So this gives us a chance to do that.
Yeah, I was thinking about that the other day too. Basically, of course, in Twitter and Facebook and such like that, because it's all text based, and I'm thinking, part of my opinion, as a right thinking American, is that because it is all text, that adds another layer of anonymity, and the dangerous thing, in my opinion, isn't the anonymity of the people talking, but the anonymity of the people you're talking to. You don't know who they are or how they're actually reacting. You're just getting whatever they happen to type, which doesn't necessarily tell you what they're actually thinking or how they feel about what they're saying.
Or how they construed what you said.
Yeah.
If you take the letters STOP and follow them with HEAD, you can say stop ahead, or you can say stop ahead. But in text, you have really no idea which way people take that.
Yeah. And because we do have this disconnect. Well, I think that's one of the reasons why we have such an instant knee-jerk to be a jerk sort of reaction.
I agree.
We instantaneously jump up and yell and scream at people, and they may be, they may have said something. They may have said something that they meant humorously. They might have been kidding. It might even have been in poor taste, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it was intended to be.
It's true. You have until you know that person, or at least you can hear an emotion behind someone's voice to understand where they're coming from. Oddly enough, whenever somebody's sitting in the back seat of your car and you're trying to drive them somewhere, you're having a very disjointed conversation because all you have is a disembodied voice in the back seat.
Yeah.
But you can hear.
Sure.
And so I totally agree. You have to not react quickly and measure just a little bit before you go running off. And guilty as charged. I am the first person that if somebody that I'm in the room with says something terribly sarcastic to, I'm the one that turns around, usually with a full head of steam. And if I'm in the kitchen, maybe a butcher knife. It's usually not very pretty. Just saying. Yeah. So, but whenever you're talking about things that just, getting to know people and trying to make people connected again, you have to kind of go slow with that. Right. So that was kind of my thing is all of these wonderful media that we have to get to know people and to, enjoy music or just talk, learn how to do things. I didn't know how to do all kinds of things. I've downloaded all kinds of classes about how to, build on the various grid worlds. So there's a dozen of them out there, OS grid and all that kind of thing. And so I've been sitting at home alone, well, not alone, but at least sitting at home and, propped up at the computer, and that's about all we can do around here. I'm like, well, I guess I could put this time to good use. Am I making headway? Well, I can make an ice cream cone, but I can't put ice cream in it yet. I'm getting there.
Ah.
So.
Okay. So you can make ice cream. I would think that'd be harder.
No, actually, I downloaded Blender and followed a YouTube video. It's really not very hard at all.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about actually making an ice cream, but making an ice cream cone shaped thing in Second
For
Life.
grid worlds, whatever.
That would be completely different. Never mind.
It is.
Yeah, making an actual ice cream cone is hard, apparently.
Making an actual ice cream cone involves a pixel grill and however they call that, BIZZLE, diesel. I don't know. And some good, I don't know, what would you use? Probably a crepe mix or something, and roll it up on a cone shape. You know what? Yeah. I've got an idea. You could do that on an old if you've ever seen somebody make old-timey tomato juice, they have this cone thing, and they put this wooden cone down, and they put the tomatoes in it, and they wind this cone thing round and round, and the juice comes out. That's the way my grandmother made tomato juice.
Sure.
That little cone doodad is perfect to roll up a pizza like that and make like a waffle cone.
Yeah, it's called, what is that word? Pestles.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know. There's, I used to know the word for it, and I can't think of it now.
Yeah, whatever that is, I can see it. And I'm like,
Back in my day.
But that's what having a conversation like this does. You get these, we all of a sudden we've gone from over 2 or 3 subject, hop, skip, and jump, and hello, there you are. And eventually tie it all back together, which that just, for me, is fascinating. And I don't think people have an opportunity to do that enough.
Yeah, and I gotta remember that I do actually have a mechanism for muting myself when I start coughing and sneezing, which I should do. It's like professional and stuff.
It's
yeah,
but that's okay.
Yeah,
As long as I don't sound like Darth Vader. If I ever sound like Darth Vader, tell me to go do whatever it is that I need.
you sound okay. It's a little.
So what I do want to know is, do I have a really heavy Southern accent?
I wouldn't say really heavy. There's a bit of an accent there, but I
Yes, I can't avoid that.
wouldn't
But
qualify
I've
that.
talked to some people that, it's like, whoa, I thought I had a Southern accent, and no. And I've heard people say that I talk way too fast for a Southern girl, and I probably do. But I think that's just working in an office. You learn to modulate. Might be a good word.
Yeah. Well, it might be a difference too with big city Southern as compared to out in the country.
That, there's some truth in that.
Yeah, because it's hot out there, and you're just kind of kicked back a little bit, not really in a hurry to do.
Old many a
quite
person
so
that
much.
in the South, I had a friend that it was one of the mothers whenever my daughter was in elementary school. She said, "How are you ever going to teach Kayla how to spell?" I said, "What are you talking about?" She said, "You don't say any of your vowels right." And I was like, right compared to, I just looked at her and I said, in the South, the higher the humidity, the longer the vowel. So when it's really hot out on the veranda and we're drinking our iced tea, it's not iced tea, it's sweet tea, darling.
Sweet tea.
It is sweet tea.
Or a glass of sweet tea.
I want a long, tall glass of sweet tea with
She
lots of
thinks my
ice.
director's sexy. Anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah. No, I get it. And I'm marginally spoiled because I grew up in the upper Midwest and northern Minnesota. We do have a little bit of an accent there. But the thing is that I have the kind of accent that the TV and radio networks look for as being people that don't have accents. We do. I've got this whole accents. Basically swallow some of my vowels too. There's a Midwestern thing there, but
Minnesota.
Minnesota. Yep, the great white north. But yeah, we get we're if a couple of things had happened differently back in the 1800s, we'd be Canadian. So the border of the territory actually runs pretty much through my hometown. So
Really? Wow. That is up there.
Back in the day. Now, of course, we've got what they call the Arrowhead region now, so it doesn't really count as much. But you will note, as we say, I was poking around in my streaming software and seeing, because I thought I remembered a way I figured out to be able to stream this and record it. And I didn't, I don't know. Could I do that? Maybe. I'm trying to figure out if there's an easy way to do that. I got to see the tricky bit. Well, also, once again, now I'm doing it inside baseball. The tricky bit is to get my audio already goes to the streaming because I got the microphone sitting here. But the tricky bit is to get your audio to the streaming software.
Yep, that is what I've thought about for a long time. How would you do the crossover there?
Yeah, my audio goes to you, but I got it. Excuse me. It's something called Mix Minus, which again is very much inside baseball. But basically, what you're doing is, I listen to the mix, which is both of us, and you listen to the mix minus your side.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's called Mix Minus. And it's not that hard. It's a lot easier to do than to explain, really. But and I had it all figured out a while back.
I can be conversationally tolerant. I've spent a little time as a college student in a music studio engineering.
Uh-huh.
And so I can walk in and look at a board and go, okay, I think it goes like this. It's been a long time. But if I sat down with it long enough, I could probably turn it on and say, okay, the mics are all hot, the board's ready, push go, and then say, now I need an engineer because I can't hear like I used to. Y'all have to drop level stuff. You got to move all the knobs and the buttons and then that kind of thing. But I could be the good secretary that walked in and said, let me get this. Yeah, I get it all going.
Yeah.
So I could be conversationally tolerant. I get it. How people work the magic that they do, I don't know.
Yeah. One of the things I have been planning on making is a little show timer for In Second Life. Basically set, so it'll actually ring when we've gone 30 minutes or whatnot. And I didn't actually check what time we started.
I might be able to tell you that. Let me see. Just a little before 16:35, so we're at 45, about 10 minutes, I guess.
Okay, well, that's not too bad.
Maybe about 15. No, not bad at all.
Okay. Because, that's one of the weaknesses of doing an off-the-cuff podcast is that you don't necessarily, they can go long. They can go very long.
And people don't have that kind of time. More
people, more minutes. But yeah, I mean, one thing that we would certainly be capable of doing is having guests on too.
Yep.
That's why I got the big couch.
Absolutely.
Nobody, of course, listening to the audio version of this is actually going to be able to see the big couch.
Right.
So, well, I could take a picture. Maybe use that for. Let's see if I can get a good picture here. You good at taking pictures?
I have been.
Okay.
But I wouldn't. The other thing is there's just lots of things out there. I know one of the young women that is writing a blog for the new land Belisaria.
Okay.
And I would love to talk to her about that community, and how they work to build community. And she actually does the internet blog for them. It's part of kind of it's a volunteer thing. It's like the rest of us. We're like, this is just way too cool for school. What can I do? How can I add?
Okay, and this is what in Belisaria you said?
Yeah, it's one of the new areas where if you have a premium account, you get a free house and they build a community around it.
Oh, okay. So it's actually in Second Life.
It's actually in Second Life. But, there's that, and there's... I know one of the people that we can hook up to that is working in a registrar's office at one of the big universities. Register all the kids, bring them to school, send all the kids home, bring 5 of them back, send 10 of them back. And she's the person that is sitting dealing with the mechanics of that. She's not making the decisions, but she's dealing with the mechanics of it. She's also a stroke victim, if I believe is correct, and has overcome an incredible amount of challenges to be able to continue to function like that, so like so many of us have. And there's just all manner of people I find that we have talked to over that. I've known you for 6 years. You don't know that. I do. And that over that length of time, the authors that you've run into and all kinds of people. One of the very first people that I guess maybe, I don't know how long I've been driving, for the rideshare company. But he said, if you ever get a podcast, you have to invite me because I want to listen to every word. And I said, would you be a guest? He said, oh, heck yeah. And I actually know how to contact him. And I can't wait to say, I promised you that I would contact you.
Okay.
So are you ready?
Okay. Yeah.
And that's been probably 2 years. But I check in on him every now and then. We're on have a social media account that is shared that I can track him down. And it was pretty interesting. So there's lots of people like that. But like I said, I mean, I just think that if we want to get all heavy and talk, real deep subjects, I'm game. I'm good with it. If we want to talk about tuna noodle casserole or, whatever, that's cool too. Because it's just what depends on the day of the week and the week of the month and the month of the year. And you never know. But I think that giving people an opportunity to hear people actually having just a general conversation is not a bad idea.
Yeah. I had, this is going back to the 90s when I used to run a bulletin board system. And there was a group of people that we chatted on a bulletin board network called UNI Net. And letters, UNI Net. Anyway, and we were in the Chit Chat group in UNI. And we chatted online there for couple 3 years until, of course, people stopped doing the bulletin boards. And a couple of times we got together face to face. And the thing is, there were some people in the group that honestly I just really didn't like all that much. And then I met them face to face, and instead of just seeing what they were typing in text, after meeting them, I was able to actually read their words and hear it in their voice and how they would say it and know what they meant by that.
Right.
Know how they talk, which
right.
is, like say, some of them, when I just looked at the text, they were annoying as all heck. But,
I know people, I know a lot of people like that, yeah.
And then when I actually met him, I said, oh, okay, that's just Randall, that's just the way he is. But, when he's talking, he's of course, all you Southern people know each other. He's in Louisville, so.
Louisville, very good. Well, nice pronunciation there.
There you go, yeah. Well, I have to know how to pronounce things like Louisville because I do have a sister, for example, in Missouri. So, got to exercise care.
Missouri and Louisville and New Orleans, and there's a few of those. There's a couple of cities here. How would you say Lafayette?
What? Was that F as in Frank?
Uh-huh. Lafayette.
Well, the French version would be Lafayette.
Yes, but the Tennessee version is Lafayette.
Lafayette? You say
Yes.
it like Lafayette.
Say it like Lafayette, absolutely.
There you go.
We have Milan.
Well, in Michigan, that'd be Milan.
Oh, it's Milan here, too, not Milan. Well done.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a little town that's southeast of Ann Arbor. I lived in Ann Arbor for a long time. A little town just southeast of Ann Arbor, very close to the Michigan Speedway, the NASCAR racing site. There is down in the same area. And I went there once. But yeah, Milan, Michigan is just outside of Ann Arbor. Pretty darn close, as I recall. It's been 20 years since I was in Michigan. But back
in the day.
Back when I was a boy. But, let's see. And, of course, I don't know. We don't have a lot of in Minnesota, we don't have a lot of cute pronunciations. Well, maybe in other areas. Not Duluth is just Duluth. It's just.
People from up that way, though, and Minnesotans say their O's differently. I can almost pick out Minnesota when people are talking.
Okay.
Now, I haven't heard that accent in a long time. We have a lot of tourists, of course, that come through here, and downtown Nashville, Tennessee, Vegas.
Okay.
And so I get them in, I pick them up in the airport and take them all kinds of places, and or pick them up from their hotels and their Airbnbs and take them back to the airport. So you learn to pick it out. I can almost tell whether you're from Japan or from China. It depends on the length of the conversation. But it's been a while. You lose that talent if you don't stay with it.
So you don't exercise it. It'll
yeah, don't use it, you lose it. And so many things. So many things.
A story I often tell, speaking of accents, is when I first went to Michigan, there was this accent thing that they do in Michigan that really annoyed the heck out of me for about 6 months. After 6 months, I had absolutely no idea what it was anymore. So I must have, by then I was doing it. I still couldn't tell you what it is, and maybe I probably still do it now, but I remembered being annoying. Now I couldn't tell you. But when you live in a particular area, I've got probably rolled into my voice, my speech, probably half a dozen, maybe a dozen, at least U.S. accents. I don't have a lot of non-U.S. sorts of accents. Mm-hmm. But, there's a lot there, when I first got back from basic training, I sounded like one of our drill instructors, or training instructors, the military training instructors, Sergeant Gentry. Mm-hmm. And I had that whole end,
Oh, Lord, where was he from? South Carolina?
He was, Gentry was Texas, I think. I think Sergeant Yarbrough was down from your way there. But Sergeant Gentry was Texan, and after I got back from basic training, I had that same bassy sounding voice like he had,
Yeah.
And he wasn't a large guy, but he sounded like a large guy. He was bigger than me, but that's not hard to accomplish. But I pick up habits of speech all the time. There are phrases that I'll use, and I say, people will think, what the hell you say that for? But it's because somebody said it, and it just registered in my twisted little brain, and every now and again it'll just pop out again. So, but I do that. But enough about me. Let's talk about you. What do you think about me?
About you?
Hadn't heard that one before?
Grizz. God love it.
Anyway, so let's see. We covered possibly doing guests. Subjects, sort of.
Subjects of guests, possibly. And then we just have to figure out, is this a good time of day? Which looks like it might be.
Sure.
For, 30 minutes or a total of an hour with 30 minutes of usable content. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. Probably allow for an hour so we can take 30 minutes of screwing around and trying to figure out if there's a different way to do things and rambling incoherently and so on. And of course you can always take 60 minutes of audio and turn it into 30. Snip.
Oh, and you would sound like the Chipmunks.
Well, I'm not talking speeding it up, I have scissors, virtual scissors I use, and I can snip stuff out, including them coughs and sneezes and whatnot. I'm trying to remember. I haven't used, since the last time I did this, I got different software, and I don't honestly recall how. It used to be that basically you get the local channel and like my voice and your voice in two, you could get it left channel, right channel,
right,
and edit separately. Used to be, I can't remember. Is that the way I set it up? Automatically recording, yeah. Bitrate's fine. Wandering vaguely off topic while fiddling around and clicking on things. Okay, well, never mind. I was just clicking on a thing to see if I could, what I'd need to do to get the pro version of the software, and oddly enough, as it happens, I have the pro version. Why? I don't know.
I do that. I've got the pro version of several things, and I go, how long has this been automatically deducted out of my account? I have the pro version of what? Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And move along.
I used to have the pro version of the Blog Talk Radio we talked a little bit earlier about. When I used to do that, I had for a while the pro version because I was doing a lot of episodes. But haven't in a while, and it's just kind of sitting there idle. I do have, what's the other one? TalkShoe. Another phone-based interview show, live recording, call-in show type thing. And I've got the free version of that, too, which I also never used. So, I mean, there's a lot of, as far as the technical stuff is concerned, there's a lot of options. What else? Anything else that we would want to make part of our original thing here? What else do we want to say?
Let's see. What else can we say? And we should talk more, and then we talk, and then I like the way that you generally sign off. Let's be careful out there.
Yeah, that's
Hill Street Blues.
Yeah, I mean, I can say the things. It's the snippet I use when I'm DJing is, well, it is copyright, so.
Oh, well, that's true.
But it's very short. And it is out there as a snippet, and people do, use just a little snippet like that. That was from, was that NYPD Blue?
NYPD Blue, or was it Hill Street Blues?
Hill Street Blues, that's the one, yeah. Because I remember Daniel J. Travanti. And I can't remember, Michael something was the sergeant. Who actually, when the show was still on, actually, he passed. He's been gone for a while, but yeah, he has a unique voice. And if you've ever seen the show from back in the day, you'd say, oh, that's that guy, okay. But yeah, I mean, and like I say, there's no reason I can't say, let's roll. But hey, let's be careful out there.
But let's be careful out there.
I can say that. Although, technically speaking, the text is copyright too, I don't know.
Whenever we start making the house note with it, okay.
Yeah. As far as that goes, that other thing I use is, when I'm signing off, is actually what a DJ by the name of Alan Allman used to say on a late night romantic music show that he did for years out of Detroit, 100.3 WNIC radio, show called Pillow Talk, and he'd always say that same thing at the end, and I mostly use what he said, and I just added in the bit from Hill Street Blues, but yeah, and I certainly could do that. Although, on one of the podcasts I did, as a kind of a run-through test sort of thing, about Second Life, I ended it with a line that a friend of mine uses on a show, on a podcast that she's done for a few years. It's a show called Polyamory Weekly. And she and I both agree. She had to agree with me that it did seem kind of appropriate for Second Life. Her ending line is, and remember, it's not all about the sex. Which is, and actually there's another person who did, and maybe still does, a podcast about Second Life who had something similar to say, But yeah, that's one of the reasons why I figured somebody ought to be saying something about why you'd want to be in Second Life, because there are people out there who are aware of Second Life but think it disappeared years ago. You will note that is not the announcements of its death are just a little exaggerated. There are those who, and I've actually annoyed the heck out of me when Leo Laporte said he left Second Life because it was just all about sex. And okay, he must have had different experiences than I did in Second Life. But anyway, but yeah, that's another thing that people assume. It's just, you just go on Second Life so you can hook up, don't you? Well, no.
No. You can play cards, and you can learn all kinds of genres of music, and you can learn how to build, and you can sail boats, and you can do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And that you can do in real life without physical touch, and you can almost do that.
Yeah.
But you don't have to push. You don't have to push all the buttons. It's like having a remote. That you walk into a hotel room, and all of a sudden you're like, oh well, we're gonna have to block a few channels here.
Yeah.
I'm sorry they didn't provide a remote. I'm sorry, sweetie, they didn't provide a remote in this room. We'll just have to be. We're down to just using the buttons on the side of the TV. Can we watch the weather, and then we're going to leave here for the day?
Yeah, my main characterization of Second Life has been for a while now is that it is either the world's greatest and or the world's largest playground. And like any playground, there's all kind of kids on the playground. Some kids want to play in the mud. Some kids want to play in the sandbox. Some kids want to jump on the swings and the teeter-totter and the little merry-go-round. And some kids want to play house, and some kids want to play doctor. And some kids want to play Dr. House, but that's a whole other story entirely.
Whole other story.
And the thing is, if you do not want to play house or play doctor, what do? Find another part of the playground to play in,
There's lots of things to do in the playground.
There's a million stories in the naked city.
There are a million stories in the city, naked or clothed. There's a million stories in the city.
And
there's ways people make money and people make friends. And, I had to go find a public sandbox, which, is where we have to go res things from time to time.
Uh-huh.
And I was helping somebody, and I was like, let's try it here. And so we went over to a site and did that. And there was a guy that was walking around helping people. He had a TV for a head. And I thought, well, look, it's Max Headroom come to life. He probably doesn't know who Max Headroom is, but it's exactly what it looked like. Very helpful. Got done what we needed to get done. It was fine.
Sure.
But and then of course the person that walked up behind him, beside him, was kind of a cat, but had kind of a dragon wings, and then had on some kind of a pink tutu. I was like, great. Do I need a translator for this? So, I have one of those little gadgets. You have a Q translator. So if I'm talking to somebody from Rome, or I'm talking to somebody from Holland, or I'm talking to somebody from, Japan, all I have to do is put it on, and the nice little program does all that for me. And so that's been kind of fascinating to use. This playing in the sandbox is great fun. But it is also a time suck. People say, but I'm on Facebook all the time. I said, child's play. Come here. Let me show you a whole new way to live. I have a friend, a high school friend from many, many, many years ago that was here before me. She's not around much anymore, but she was a builder, and she's actually a retired psychiatrist. And she said, "You need a major distraction. Come here. Let me show you this." And I was like, "Holy Pete, look what I found. This is kind of cool." So that's almost 7 years later.
Yeah.
Here I am. But I've made friends, and I've met some of them. They've come to visit, and I've talked to them on the phone. And one girl even sent me lunch one day. I had the flu, and she was just worried to death that I wasn't eating. And somebody kept banging on the door. And we opened the door, and somebody went to the door, and it was like, Panera. I said, nobody ordered Panera. It's Panera. And they gave the person's name. I went, what in the world is she doing sending Panera? Thank you. So finally I got a message that says, open the door. It's Panera. I got it. I curled back up in the nest and delightfully, sipped on my hot tomato soup and sandwich. It was, yes. I was like, thank you. So we do, it's a lot of It's a lot of fun. It's pretty interesting, and I've watched. I watched a couple years ago. One lived in New Jersey, and one lived in. I'm going to say just west of Iowa. Maybe he lived in Iowa, and they had been on and off friends for a good 10 years. And her boys graduated, went on to the service, and he was alone and that kind of thing. And they moved to Branson, Missouri, and got married and did the whole thing.
Sure.
And he was diagnosed with cancer, and I got word from her about 3 months ago that this was about maybe 6 months ago that I saw her and in a chat. And I said, "Oh my God, I'm so glad to see you." And she said, "I'm here because I'm trying to contact people to let them know that Jerry Don had passed." And it just broke my heart because they had spent so much of their lives on two different parts of the world, and but they got to spend the last 4 together. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yep.
Nothing wrong with that. There's peace to be found there. There's some peace to be found there. So. How are we doing? Let's see. We're at 30 minutes yet? 20 minutes yet?
What did you say? It was like 4:45? You thought it was about?
35, I think, is where we were.
35. So actually, so 25 plus 10, so that'd be 35 minutes, thereabouts.
That's not too shabby. I mean, I type things, and I say, "Oh, look, I typed a sentence this week." I said, "That's a podcast." I said, I can't write an essay on it. That's a podcast. I got to save that one. I was trying to look it up.
Yeah, but podcast listeners are pretty tolerant. I mean, they've been putting up with me since 2007, so my followers are only the finest people, only the best butter.
Only the best pod listeners.
Yeah.
Only the best pod listeners.
So, any last thing we should cover before I probably should stop the recording thing? And
I think it's really interesting, and I thought about that today, and I have had a wonderfully productive but busy day, to say the least. But it was really interesting that we managed to get this together and start this on the anniversary, the 19th, I believe, of 9/11.
Yep. Yeah.
And I think that that's a good thing, because I think that one of the lessons we should have learned from that was how to stay together and not stay apart.
Yeah.
And so I was like, that's it. We done a good thing.
Yeah. That's and quite possibly the folks that have been doing podcasts for years probably did a whole special episode about that particular topic.
Yep.
But
everybody has. I found something that I wrote a long time ago, and I posted it on social media today. It was an interesting day for me because at the time, cell phones were pretty much unheard of.
Oh yeah, and what's funny? I remember, and I don't know if it ever actually happened or if I'm just dismembering in my old age. Mm-hmm. But I remember after all of the, and there's some one of the memorial sites, at least, they have a whole thing of recorded last voicemails.
Yes, I've seen that. I've been at that website.
Yeah.
That was, yeah.
But I vaguely remember something about there was some discussion of banning cell phones on airplanes after that.
Yep.
And it's like, what?
That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
As a cute little thought for 5 minutes, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, well, I mean, back then, you might have done it. You might have got away with it. Today, not happening. Not happening.
And who knows? I mean, here's the thing. If they hadn't had cell phone communication, how many people wouldn't have been able to say goodbye or communicated outside the plane that says this is what we're going to do?
And
there was some safety issue in that too.
To what extent would we actually have known, as quick as we did, what exactly was happening?
That's right.
We knew a lot more about who was doing what where simply because they had the ability to make phone calls from the airplane. It didn't work particularly well back then. I don't know that it worked. It probably works somewhat better now, but just because we could do that, so yeah.
It might have made a difference.
And like I say, I might just be dismembering because I'm an old guy and we do that. It's in the job description, As they say, the memory is the second thing to go.
Old, not dead.
What was the
Thank
first one?
God. Huh? Yeah.
Anyway, so
yeah, I'll look around for the things that the little quotes or little stories that pick my interest and try to weave some of that together. And
Sure.
And at this time of the week it works, and maybe 4 o'clock SLT time, since that's the quickest way for us to be in a single spot at a single time.
Yeah. So you want to do the 4 p.m. Just nail that down and.
Yeah, let's just do it 4 p.m. on Friday, 4 p.m. our time.
And we'll see. Are we thinking weekly, or are we thinking a couple times a month?
Maybe a couple of times a month.
So
I mean. I don't want to get out of the habit.
Okay. So maybe.
I know we get busy, and I'm going to be traveling over the weekend of the 12th of October. I'll be gone like 2.5 days. I mean, like a Friday, Sunday won't be that big a deal, so I'll be out that Friday.
All right.
But I think if we're going to do it, this has been it's been a thing. I mean, I've always wanted a little blog called Life at My Life at 35 miles an hour. Sometimes you overdrive it and sometimes you underdrive it. Yeah, it happens.
Or my life is at school zone speeds, something like that.
School zone speed limits, 25 miles an hour, 15 miles an hour. Yep.
There you go.
You can never drive faster than your windshield wipers.
There you go.
Absolutely.
Anyway, I probably should say something that's to do the finishing thing. Should I swipe Alan Allman's thing, or?
You know what? We might change it up.
Yeah, But what I always say when I'm DJing, and we'll see where we go in future. We're technically not there yet because this is still an episode of Grizzly's Growls, which it still could stay. It's not like I do a lot. It doesn't actually have a topic, so it could be about anything really. But as I always say pretty much when I finish DJing, and this is going out to all of you out there in podcast land. As Ellen Ullman used to put it on WNIC, thank you for being there when I needed you, and thank you for just being you. So, let's roll, but hey, let's be careful out there.
Let's be careful out there. I love it.
Sweet dreams, angels.
All right.
Thank you for listening to Grizzly's Growls, the life and times of a minor local celebrity. If you like the show, tell your friends. If you don't like the show, tell your enemies. If this podcast lasts more than 4 hours, see your doctor. Theme music is Hot Swing from Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or at feeds.feedburner.com/grizzliesgrowls. Comment at grizzly.libsyn.com or by voicemail at the comment line 218-234-CALL. That's 218-234-2255. These shows are released under Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives 3.0 license. Your mileage may vary.